Hello, everybody. Welcome to Watkins Glen for the OCRP iRacing League. We are going road course racing tonight, and as always, I'm joined by the one, the only Cowboy Joe, Mr. Coach Joe Cortez. I almost called you Jor. I don't know why I called you Jor. Joe Cortez, what are you expecting tonight for some road course racing?
I expect to be called Jor Cortez a couple times tonight, that's for sure. You know, Watkins Glen, we were talking about it before we came on broadcast tonight. Watkins Glen, of all the road courses that these guys go to, you look at Road America, you look at Mid-Ohio, you even look at Sonoma, Watkins Glen is arguably the least technical of all the places they go. There's no S-turns. There's only one bus stop on the back straightaway, the 180 hairpin turn, and then some very easily navigatable 90-degree turns. If you're smart, if you pace the car, you can get ahead here pretty quickly, and you can get ahead here really well. But what I'm really concerned about, what I'm watching for in this situation is the tire model. What's going to happen to these tires after they get 4 or 5 good laps on them, especially when they bunch up for the starts and restarts? We've heard a lot that driving these guys is like driving on glass, and I'm a little concerned how it's going to work out for everyone tonight at Glen.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We just see Eric O'Neill lose control of his Camaro and put it into the wall, and that's something that we're worried about tonight because if you're new to iRacing, you have to understand that there's always new updates happening within the system. And with that comes a new tire model. This is something that was implemented over the past week or so, or last couple weeks. We've been off for 2 weeks because I made a move from Orlando down to Tampa, where we're located now. But the biggest thing is the new tire model came out. And when the new tire model came out, well, that spells disaster for a lot of guys, especially on a road course.
No, you're absolutely right. It does mean a whole lot of different stuff when it comes to the road course because they haven't had time to play with it. They haven't had really time to engage with it and understand how these cars change. It's different when you look at an oval course or even a short oval. When we were at Bristol 2 weeks ago, you can figure out how the tire is going to change and what the tire is going to do underneath you because you've run hundreds of thousands of laps on those ovals. When it comes to a track like this, even though I would argue it's the least technical of them, I would venture to say that because of that, these guys are still going to be at a handicap because they don't have that experience. They don't have the experience making the right turn as well. And because of that, it's going to be a challenge. I think I think the cream of the crop will rise up and overcome. But that being said, I don't know that we're going to see it straighten away in the beginning. I think it's anybody's race to lose.
Absolutely. Right now, we're getting everything set up. One thing that is brand new to the broadcast is that we now have the new cameras installed from iRacing, so we have a little bit of motion blur happening there. But with that, I have to adjust a lot of the microphones that are on track. And during the warm-up for the next 10 minutes, you might see all the camera options on there, and that's the reason why that is the case. But like you were talking about, the new tire model, racing on ice, it's going to come down to a lot of skill. And even the most skilled drivers like Wes Graham, that has been absolutely dominating the series, has been having a little bit of trouble.
And as you look at where everybody's at right now, Tommy Sinnerman, a guy we don't talk about a whole lot in the 8 car, he's right now leading practice with a time of 1:12 around this track. Jeff Coburn, John Borsch, Eric O'Neill, mainstays in this group. They're also respectable with them, but not nearly as fast. Hinnerman's got about a second and a half on everybody here. So right now, he is the hands-down favorite, but you have a lot of brain trust. You have a lot of brilliance in Coburn, Borst, O'Neill, Barkman, guys that will run every week in and out and know the ins and outs of these cars and these tracks. So even though there is a new tire model, as we see one of those guys get a little squirrely there, we know that there's a lot of knowledge behind these drivers. There's a lot of stuff they played with. It's really going to be interesting. I'm really getting ready for an entertaining race out here tonight on many different levels.
Absolutely. One thing about road course racing that is different from oval racing is that you're no longer racing the other guys around you. Instead, you're going to be racing the actual track. And that may sound a little strange to somebody that's very brand new to it, but you have to fall into your rhythm. You have to get into your groove to really improve over the race. And that is something that is not so much during an oval track. I mean, yes, of course, you have to get your groove on. You have to fall into a rhythm, but nothing like racing the actual track. as we see Hyneman put the 8 car right into the wall there. He's going to bring it down onto pit road. About 8 minutes left in the warm-up, and once that is taken care of, we're going to be with the green flag racing for you, making sure all of our microphones are set up really good for you guys tonight. That's what we're doing right now. First time at Watkins Glen in the OCRP League. So we're making sure we have everything set up as it should be for all of your entertainment. But a thing about road course racing is it's anybody's game. It comes down to who can master the track the most.
Absolutely, it is. It's about mastering the track. It's about mastering everything around you. It's mastering the whole experience, really. And again, although I'll say it several times tonight, although it's not the most technical road track, it is a road track, and it will absolutely change you. It'll absolutely change how you approach it, the attack you make, and ultimately what you do and what you attack you make on the track.
We're watching Scott Barkman, one of the drivers that has been really improving in this league over the past few weeks. And he is out there trying to get down Watkins Glen. Going up through the S's is always a great time. It's a lot of throttle control as you go up the hill, all the way hugging the side of that wall, and get as much speed as you can off of there for the long straightaway all the way down to the bus stop.
Jeff, when we have time here in the pre-show, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to respect the memory of another race car driver, one that has certainly captured the attention of a lot of people. John Andretti passed away today at the age of 56 after a long and very public battle with colon cancer. Chat right now is talking all about his legacy, about what he has meant to the racing world, and how his very public battle with colon cancer has really changed the attitudes about it and changed the attitudes towards getting checked and getting it looked at and taken care of. So, first man to complete the Memorial Day double, ran in IndyCar, ran in NASCAR, ran a couple seasons in the actual Winston Cup Series, now known as the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Definitely we broadcast tonight with heavy hearts because his loss and what it means to the racing world, Jeff.
Yeah, and you can't go anywhere in racing without hearing the name John Andretti, and a real loss to the racing community, 100%. So our thoughts are with his friends and family, as John was an incredible addition to motorsport. Trying to get a nice audio balance between all the drivers out here that are on track right now. We're going to be riding on board with Josh Jones, watching how he gets through this section of the track. He's towards the end. He's already gotten through the carousel. Now he goes all the way out there, and now he's going to get ready to make that right-hander towards the start-finish line. Let's take a ride aboard the number 3 car of Josh Jones, Yeti as they call him, all the way down the front stretch here. Hard in the brakes, getting ready for a nice 9-degree right-hander here. It's going to take him all the way to the outside, use as much track as he can. Set up for the S's all the way to the left-hand side, all the way to the inside. And I got to say, Joe, this is one of my favorite tracks whenever I race in the iRacing, the NASCAR iRacing series. This was one of my favorite tracks to run at. It's such a driver's track, and you can hear him shift right there into 4th gear at the very last second. And you'll notice how short 4th gear is all the way down to the bus stop, hard in the brakes here, and it's a matter of rolling the car into the chicane known as the bus stop. Now, a lot of guys could bust the bus stop and they'll have to come to a complete stop before they continue through that. It's all about being ready for the next set of corners here at Watkins Glen. You get through the carousel there, as we just saw. He's getting it all wound up all the way to make that left-hander and start all over again.
The bus stop was actually introduced several years ago as a way to control speeds down that back stretch. Originally, this was a 6-turn road course, which again, it wasn't as challenging, but that bus stop forces them to control speed and actually, take a different approach going into that 90-degree turn. It was a safety measure, and now it's a strategy measure. Look for that flat to be troublesome all night long for these guys, especially as they look to make passes, especially as they look to try to get around and use that to their advantage. I think a lot of guys are going to try to make passes at that bus stop, and a lot of guys are going to get shut down real quick.
And we're watching right now the 86 of John Borst is out on the track making his way around the track and clowning around is what is on the front of his car there. But he is one to watch tonight. Talk about a fast driver in the league, and it is no different here at Watkins Glen. If anybody can get around this track, it's definitely John Borst.
John Borst only has one win on the season. That win goes back to week 5 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So he's looking for another win this season. He's looking to break Wes the Mess's streak, who's won the past 3 races we broadcast here on Twitch.tv/jfavignano and Twitch.tv/The Joe Cortez Show. He's won at week 7. He won week 6 at Chicagoland. He took 2 weeks off for the holiday. He won week 7 at Michigan. He won week 8 at Bristol. And tonight, he is looking to continue to add to that streak. He's won 4 races on the season. Tonight, he really wants to make it number 5. But seeing where he's at, seeing where he is, how he's turning laps here, I don't know that's going to be the case.
And we're watching right now. Wes Graham's out on the track in the new colors. He's in the OCRP colors. OCRP is Orange County Roleplay, and that is where all this group originated from. They've all come together with the same exact love of racing and iRacing on a virtual sense, and they're taking their RP skills, to a different place, and that is driving a virtual race car around the track. That is the colors you're seeing there on Wes Graham tonight. Keeping an eye on Wes Graham. Well, he's not on the leaderboards yet. The ones to watch right now are Hyneman and Coburn and Borst. We talked about Borst already, but let's talk a little bit about Jeff Coburn, one of the drivers that has been in this league for a while now. This is his 3rd season with OCRP, and they started off with the K&N Pro car. He was a brand new rookie there, moved his way up into the trucks, ran the trucks very well, and then they skipped Xfinity, went straight to a Cup car. And I gotta say, Coburn is no stranger when it comes to getting around here at Watkins Glen in such a car.
He's second in points as well. Only 40 points behind Wes Graham, despite not having a win to his name. So keep that in mind. You don't necessarily need to be winning every race to win a season. You just have to be consistent, turn in good lap times, and turn in good results as a show of everything you do. Wes Graham now turning in his first time of the night, 112.890. It jumps him into second place, so I might be eating a little crow on Wes Graham. He might be a sleeper that could make it 4 out of 5 in the season.
Yeah, and Wes Graham, we're riding aboard him right now. We're going to see how he's getting around Watkins Glen. Watch how he gets through the bus stop, and that's one of the biggest spots on this track. You can make up a lot of time. You get guys that are a little bit more timid, like you saw there with Coburn. Real timid getting into the bus stop. However, he did have company in front of him that made that change. That's the end of the warm-up round. Now we move into qualifying. After qualifying of 5 minutes of that, we will be in to the gridding, and then after gridding, we're going to be green flag racing here soon.
40 laps around this monster, 2.4, almost 2.5 miles, 8 turns at Watkins Glen, including that bus stop chicane on the back stretch. And again, I can't stress this enough. This is going to be a challenge on each of these drivers. I believe this is the first time, Jeff, they've actually done this on broadcast. We've actually broadcast a road race here for the OCRP League. So all these guys are coming in with fresh eyes. They're coming in with whatever practice they had during this session and before the session and on their own. So this is a completely open experience for every one of these drivers. Don't look for them to be experts out here. I think we're going to see a lot of caution flags, and I think a lot of them could be avoided. But you know what? We've got 2 hours and 35 minutes on the clock. Grab a cold one and join along for the ride, won't you?
Absolutely. And one thing that can be said is, you know, when we're watching warm-up, we're watching guys that are pushing themselves every single lap, see what they can get out of the car, see what they can get out of themselves. And I think that once we get into a green flag condition, things are going to change a little bit. I think we're going to, slow down a little bit, say, hey, maybe I won't take that corner as hard as I would in practice. And that is going to allow us to have further or more green flag laps. So I think we might be surprised by that, especially as intimidating as this track is with the new tire model. It's going to come down to, making your best decisions here tonight. So that is what we're doing. We're at Watkins Glen, folks. That is a 2.42-mile track, 8 turns around here. 1573 is the elevation up here in the mountains. And track temp right now, look at it, 81 degrees, which is actually pretty cool.
That cold track is definitely going to create some challenges for them again, because while the cold track will give them more grip, this new tire model is definitely going to challenge them and test them, and especially as they start going from cold tires to warm tires as they start in the first early laps. I think the early laps of this race is really going to set the pace for all 40 laps around this track. You might think 40 laps is long, but when you consider that we have 8 turns, including right-hand turns, which you never see in NASCAR, it's gonna really. I think this time is gonna add up. I think what you're gonna see is a lot of guys really taking the entire time to respect the track, respect each other, and hopefully not inadvertently cause a big one.
Absolutely. We're waiting for those numbers to come through right now. And Joe, I know you have all of those numbers in front of you. You're watching really close how everybody's going to be shaken out in the qualifying. So give us a little bit of an insight. Who is looking like they're going to be the one to beat?
Well, right, we talked about Thomas Hyneman during the pre-race show. He had the fastest time in practice. Right now, he's got the fastest time in qualifying as qualifying times come in here. Wes Graham now right behind him, only turning a qualifying time less or almost 0.2 of a second slower than Hyneman. So Hyneman and Graham, no surprise, will be on the front row. So grinning behind him right now is Jeff Coburn, Eric O'Neill, Tony Wilson, Josh Jones, and I think a lot of guys are really taking their time and want to cycle out into the back of the field. I think they want to cycle out basically for the fact that they don't want to be the ones causing the big one when it happens in turn 1. They want to be watching out, figuring out what everyone else does, and adjusting their strategy accordingly. Like I said, yellow flags really could define this race and how it goes and where it goes.
And this is a track that you do not want to have a lot of restarts at. You don't want to come down to, okay, we're going to race to the next yellow, because it all comes down to turn 1. Making that right-hand turn after getting all of that, the nervous energy you're going to have at the beginning of the race. But imagine, you're taking the green flag for the first time. You're like, I need to settle into a position here and run the track. Well, you're side by side with somebody else that's like, well, I want your position. And that's what we're going to see happen down in turn 1 on the first lap. And unfortunately, that usually ends up in a crash.
Yeah, and that's a crash you don't want to see. You never want to see them this early in the race. You never want to see them, going too crazy this early, early on. The good news is they will have 3 of those quick repairs behind them. So if they do crash out, if something does happen, they will have the opportunity to come back around, get one of those repairs in, and ultimately get moving forward again. So, but that being said, I think they're going to be very studious in how they use them. I think they're going to be very, very careful, in particular, on how they use each of those restarts and how they use each of those different builds, I should say, in order to figure out, when's the optimal time for me to use it. I don't want to be burning up all of my stuff if I'm just going to get another wreck and then end up with no quick repairs left in the back.
And that's something that they're really going to have to worry about. And if they do get into an accident, they are going to find themselves having to use one of those quick repairs, Joe. And how many of those do we get?
3. We just said it. You get 3 quick repairs, and that's it. Once you're done out of quick repairs, you got to race what you got for the rest of the race, which is why I think everyone out here is going to be super studious, going to be super careful on when they use them and how they use them, because they don't want to be stuck with bad gear that's going to mess them up the entire race. They don't want to be stuck with, or they don't want to use a quick repair and then just have it burn up because someone wrecks them again. They don't want to just keep cycling through them and wear out all their gear. I think even with some damage, you can run this track with some damage. So I think even with a little bit of damage on it, they're still going to try to run it as hard as they can, as best they can, to avoid burning one of those quick repairs.
I do apologize for that. I was in the middle of getting all the camera stuff set up and everything else over here on my second screen. Didn't realize.
Don't apologize.
I didn't know you had already covered it.
There is no apologizing in NASCAR.
No apologizing. One thing is for certain that's new out here and is new to everybody that's watching is that's the safety car. It's a Porsche.
I miss the Mustang. I'm not gonna lie, Jeff.
I do
miss
too.
The Mustang.
I definitely do too. You can hear everybody out there. They're really excited. These guys are ready to put on a show for you tonight. We can hear those engines roaring. They are revving those engines, ready to get going here. And we're going to have some great green flag action happening very soon. One lap around here under yellow, and they will come around and take the green flag under a rolling condition start. And what is the difference? We talk a lot about oval racing versus road course racing, but yet here we are on a road course. We're not doing a stop to a green flag. Instead, we're doing a rolling start.
Which is very unique for NASCAR in particular. Well, NASCAR is, I believe, one of the few that do that rolling start going into the road course race. A lot of international formats like F1, they'll do a standing grid start and then go. So this is going to be kind of unique, and it's going to be unique for these drivers since the first time they're really going to have to challenge each other in this packed format on the road course. Like I said, turn one, I think is going to be our first caution flag of the night. Not because of driver skill, just because the tire model's not there yet. They're not comfortable with the tire model yet. And outside of that, I just foresee this incident where the tires give up on somebody and we have 3 or 4 cars going sliding as a result.
All right, well, let's take them through the grid. We're going to go ahead and start on row 1. Thomas Hyneman, your pole sitter, starting first right there. Outside of him is going to be Wes Graham in second. And starting in row 2, you got Jeff Coburn, John Borst. Row 3, Eric O'Neill and Alex Reno. Aviator Alexander, as you know him. And row 4, Robert Keller and Tony Wilson.
Row 5 will be the number 3 of Josh Jones driving that millennial car, that millennial Busch car, if you will. Outside of him will be Jason Kent, the last guy to take a qualifying time out here, will start position number 10. Jonathan Bunch will start position number 11. Ricardo, is Ricardo working?
I think it's Ricardo, yeah.
Ricardo. Okay, he's going to work race control, so he's not on there.
Yes.
But Rick Evans and Scott Barkman are, and they will be your final drivers taking time tonight. So it should be a field of about 13 drivers, if I'm correct. And it's going to be a very interesting gauntlet for these 13 drivers to take on.
Well, only 2 corners remain here, and we're going to be green flag racing here. You can see the Porsche safety car has its lights off. You can see everybody behind him eager and ready to go. Interesting to see Hyneman is taking that outside lane, which we're used to seeing on an oval, that not being the case. Usually they're on the inside, but he will be starting on the outside, which is actually the inside.
It's definitely different to see, different to watch, but it doesn't change the fact we're about to hit the loud pedal hard and go green flag racing for the first time here at Watkins Glen International Speedway. It's all in the hands of Thomas Hyneman. Green flag is out, and here we go racing as Hyneman and Wes Graham go side by side into turn number 1.
All the way down to turn number 1. This is the position we were talking about. You don't want to be 3 wide in, and they give each other plenty of room. They all make it through turn 1, and they head up to the guesses.
I stand corrected, Jeff. I thought there was going to be a big one there, but apparently they're all going to get through clean into the backstretch. Their first test right now will be the bus stop as they roll through. It'll be Hyneman hitting the bus stop first. Can he hold off Wes Graham and company as they come into that turn?
All the way down to the bus stop, hard into the brakes. Everybody is single file as they head to the carousel now. Hyneman is looking behind him, and he has Wes Graham all over his back bumper.
Thomas Hyneman still in an excellent position. That's about 4 car lengths over Wes Graham. Meanwhile, back in third, Jeff Coburn and John Borst are starting to do a little bit of business. Clowning around, wants to clown around Coburn and try to get around him. Not going to happen here. Will it happen at the end of lap 1? No. Coburn's got a good run going into that final dogleg. And the race, I think the race now is with the cars, trying to get them warmed up, ready to go, and start making some moves on this challenging road course.
And we're riding on board with Coburn right now as he's trying to chase down the 88 of Graham getting through turn number 1. You can see just how slow that is all the way through that second gear. And now he's going to start his way up the S's, which is all about throttle control. You hear him dropping out of the throttle, getting into the corner, dropping out of the throttle. Remember, the new tire model here tonight, it's really going to kind of separate the men from the boys when it comes to car control.
But this is also the time where these guys are getting the tires warmed up, they're getting the gears warmed up, they're shaking down the cars, and they're waiting to see what happens with the tire model. We've talked to some of the crews before the race, and they said it really starts to drop off after lap 4, after lap 5, and that's when you start fighting the cars just as much as you're fighting everything else. Back up front, we could have a challenge for the lead as Hyneman is now under fire from Wes Graham. That 3-car length lead has been cut down to about a car length and a half.
It has, and we watch right there. We talked about it in pre-race about how important nailing your marks in the bus stop is, and that's where the 88 really made out, and the yellow flag flies.
It looks like it's going to be Robert Keller that's going to bring that caution flag out. Misjudged. Turn number 8 is going to go into the dirt, and he's going to collect Alexander Reno, so that will bring out our first caution flag for the night. No heavy damage on either car, just spun out right in front of turn number 9, the final dog leg coming in, and those 2 drivers will be going to the back of the field, and they will be joined by Jonathan Bunch, who had to slow down as they tried to figure out traffic. So caution flag comes out on lap number 3, which is 300% better than my prediction.
Well, we're going to find out what just happened here, but it was Jeff Coburn that really bought the farm and tore off the front of his car. A hard lick on the outside wall. We're going to watch here on the replay. Everybody else, I think, checked up after Coburn lost it getting into the corner. Hard. Oh, man, and that was really close to the 86 of Borst. He could have been involved in there. Looks like everybody kind of started to slow down like they do on Interstate 4 in Florida and was watching the fireworks there and lost control themselves.
John Borst also got involved in that incident. He had to check up hard after watching Jeff Coburn get into the wall. That forced him to go a little squirrely and go straight into that safety sand and up against the wall. So Borst also could be contending with a little bit of damage as well. So, lots of stuff to talk about there. Not where I expected to see our first caution flag, but our first caution flag has come out nonetheless.
And it looked like Coburn his spin might have actually touched the 86 and caused him to lose control like that. So a big break for those guys. Not good at all. But we're back under caution here, and we are waiting for everybody to get caught up before we start seeing pit stops. What do you think here? You think you're going to come down pit road, get fresh tires, see where everything sits, or are you just going to stay out?
At this juncture, knowing it's a road course, I think fresh tires may be the way to go, only because I know we haven't had, but 2 laps on these tires. That being said, a lot of guys may not because the heat's just starting to get into them, and they really want to see what happens when the rubber hits the road, when it's a lot hotter on this cold track. So I'm really curious to see how they do and how and when they decide to call pit stops. Nobody among your leaders coming down pit road, the only ones down pit road right now are the ones involved in that incident, Coburn, Reno, and Borst.
Yeah, I was just about to say Coburn, Reno, and Borst are making their way down to pit road right now. They're going to get service to their cars, and it looks like the 91 at Coburn's going to have to use one of those fast repairs we just saw right there. And you only get 3 of those, so he's only got 2 left. It comes down to making those decisions. But you know what? There's not a lot you can do whenever you tear the front end of your race car off.
Yeah, at that point, even though we've said these guys can run with a little bit of damage on them, you don't want to run without a front end. That's just plain and simple logic there, Jeff. So good call on him to use the quick repair. I know he did not want to use it on lap 4 of 40 laps, not even a tenth of the way through this race. I know for a fact he didn't want to use it there, but sometimes, discretion is the better part of valor, and if he can use that to catapult himself through the field, it might be a quick repair well used.
Look at our results right now, where everybody shakes out right now. Thomas Hyneman is still your leader. Second is Wes Graham. Third, Eric O'Neill. Fourth is Tony Wilson in that 76 car. Fifth is Josh Jones, having a really nice run so far tonight. Scott Barkman in the 19 is 6th. 7th is Robert Keller. 8th is Jason Kent. 9th is Jonathan Bunch. 10th is Jeff Coburn, which we just saw was involved in that crash. And Alex Reno is showing out 11th. For some reason, you're ahead of John Borst.
So John Borst, talk about a competitor. Even though he's gone to the back of the field, even though he's going to restart at the end of our Dirty Dozen tonight, he is definitely going to be the one I want to keep an eye on, because if anyone can cut through the field, it's John Borst. Now, we've never seen him on a road track. We've never seen him compete in the Cup car in a road track. But based on everything else we've seen, we know he's a competitor. We know he's hot out there, and it's only a matter of time before he uses that knowledge base he has to his advantage and start cutting up through this field. Jeff Coburn was also fast in practice, fast in qualifying. It would not surprise me if he makes some big moves here as well and tries to circumvent this field just through strong racing. Lights should come off on the pace car this time. I'm used to saying the first racing Ford Mustang pace car. Now it's that little Acura safety car. I'm sorry.
Porsche.
The lights go on the safety car this time around, and we're one lap away from green flag racing.
Absolutely. And we're going to look at our race summary here. Your leader, Thomas Hyneman, 4 laps completed tonight. That is 36 laps to go, and only one caution for about 3 laps. We're going to be green flag racing next time by. Now it comes down to who can make the most of their restart, and if we watch that 88 Camaro, I'm going to tell you what, Wes Graham's really good at these restarts, and it all comes down to outbraking the guy to get down into turn 1.
Yeah. So this is really where the drivers can get tested. These drivers are using tires that are about 3 laps old. They had a heat cycle on them. They're cooling down. So now there's a little wear on them. I'm curious to see what happens with each of these drivers. Are they going to be like driving on glass? Is this going to be a track that's going to get considerably slower because they have to be more careful on those tires? Or are they going to start taking risks knowing that the tires are warmed up, they're getting the grip they want, and they're going to be able to sling the car around here a lot faster? Again, that chicane, the bus stop chicane, the carousel, the S's, those are really going to be 3 areas of challenge for these drivers. And if we have another caution flag quick, I guarantee you everyone is coming down pit road for new tires and fuel.
Yes, they will. And I think that it was smart. A lot of racing a road course comes down to track position. And when you give it up, well, you're kind of giving up the race in a sense if you can't ever get back up there. So I think that's the reason why we're seeing guys stay out right now. I've been in that position before. And maybe you want to make this stretch a little bit longer. If you come in early, you can kind of get off your cycle, you can get out of your rhythm, and I think that a lot of these drivers do not want to do that. Getting ready to make that right-hand turn, and we're going to go back green flag racing.
So the safety car will now go down to the safety of pit road, makes that hard right turn down there. And now Thomas Hyneman will lead the field to the green flag. It flies quick. It looks like we have a little bit of checking out in the field, but not for Hyneman. He hits a lot pedal hard, and the 88 of Wes Graham on side by side going into turn number 1. Advantage Hyneman, but Graham isn't giving up the ghost just yet.
Graham's not giving it up at all. He's on the outside, and Hyneman goes up to block, getting up into the S's to go all the way up that hill, and it looks like it worked out for him. He was able to cut off that lifeline for the 88 there, and he'll fall right back in line.
Meanwhile, Eric O'Neill is holding off a line of his own. Tony Wilson, Scott Barkman in line with them. Can he hold them off as the leaders hit the bus stop? No problems for Hyneman, no problems for Graham. In and out, back to the carousel.
You can see just how hard these guys are driving, putting those tires right there on the curb and a little bit of grass. We saw a clump of grass come off of the ground there when Hyneman got into it. These guys aren't laying back at all. They're not taking it easy.
No, you cannot afford to take it easy, and that grass is just a terrible casualty of racing. But hey, whatever you got to do to get around that corner, you do it, and you don't think twice. Hyneman executing that turn very well. The final dog leg to the green flag to the start-finish line, and Hyneman will complete lap number 6 as your leader. Graham second, Eric O'Neill third, Tony Wilson fourth, and Scott Barkman rounding out your top 5.
And we're watching all the way out here, and Graham is really trying to make his move on that 8 car and try to take that lead away, but behind him is a huge gap back to Eric O'Neill. About 5 seconds or so, maybe a little less than 5 seconds, probably about 4.5 seconds. But we're seeing the difference in skill, and we were talking about that. Guys that are really, really good at iRacing are going to really shine at these road courses. It's kind of like it is at any race. You know, you give a driver an opportunity to show his skills, and he will.
You know, and road racing gives you a really unique opportunity to do so. I feel like anyone, including me, can run an oval course. I don't think that takes a whole lot of talent. You have a good setup, you have a good acumen for how the car works. You can definitely run that very easily. But at a road course, it takes a lot more concentration, a lot more precision, and better timing just to run each of these turns.
86 of Borst into the wall there. He's going to hit the brakes. No yellow is flying right now. That's not a good thing for the 86 of Borst right there. He was coming through the exit of the carousel, got a little loose, and caught the wall.
So the Pretend Racing Online League, or Camry, I should say, just gets just gets on the brake or the gas a little hard the wrong way there, ends up going around into the wall. Good news is the damage looks to be minimal on this car. The bad news is it will definitely hurt him as he's got that little bit of that front end sticking up. That's going to hurt his aerodynamics. He can still race with it, but I don't know that he wants to. Let's put it that way.
I think he's got some issues with that 86 car as he found himself into the sand trap, exiting a corner right before we got back here to the start-finish line. He's going to bring it down pit road.
Yeah, I think that's a good move for him. That's a good move for that Camry. He's got to bring it down pit road, get that nose taken care of. He may not have to burn a quick repair this time around if they can repair that nose. Also down on pit road is Jonathan Bunch in the 35 machine. Not sure if this is a planned stop for him or if this is a strategy move. We'll see. There's another car out there casually. 11 machine now sideways.
11 car of Jason Kent just got sideways and caught the wall, exiting the S's. We're going to watch right here in just a second what exactly happened here. We're going to actually slow it down for you so we can see. But it's one of those things where you're coming through the S's. Looks like the 3 car of Josh Jones got loose, got in the wall, and Kent just compensated for that and got into the brakes. Minimal damage to the front of that Camry, but I think they'll be okay.
Now we're starting to see the challenge come out as a 4 of Robert Kellert Legos his ego all over turn number 1. Really gets wide out there, and that gives Jeff Coburn the opportunity to pass not 1, but 2 cars. He passes Tony Wilson, he passes Robert Kellert. Jeff Coburn making his way back through this field, trying to get back to where he belongs. Jeff, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is the, not the danger zone, but this is where they really get tested. The new tire model is now going to challenge them as they really start to look for any kind of grip out there.
You know, I can empathize with these drivers. If you've done any iRacing and you've raced this track, you've raced these cars, you understand the amount of pressure that's under you when you're trying to get in your groove. Basically, when you lose the control of the car and you crash out, you start, letting that eat at your brain throughout the race, and you're like, I'm going to make that mistake again, or I don't want to make that mistake. I need to focus on my driving. You start overdriving the car more than just, allowing your skill to do what it normally does.
And here's the thing about it. The more you race out there, the more you take laps out there, the more you start overthinking it, especially if you're out on your own. If you do not see another car out there, like right now, a lot of these drivers don't have anyone else near them. They're really starting to overthink their performance and thinking, what can I do to get faster? What can I do to improve my speed around this track? And that causes errors. That kind of thinking can really get in your mind. When you combine that with the fact that this new tire model is creating a lot of challenges for all these drivers, it really does create a perfect scenario where the driver has to fight himself as well as the car.
We're about to complete lap 10 and move on to lap 11, but let's see where everybody ends up. And right now, you've got Thomas Hyneman, Wes Graham, Eric O'Neill. You've got in 4th, Barkman, Coburn, Wilson, Kellert, Reno, Jones, and Kent in 10th right now. And behind them, you got Bunch and Borst, as well as Rick Evans out there still making laps. Or, excuse me, he is a spotter for a driver.
Good on him for doing that.
Absolutely. You don't get enough of those. And I can tell you one thing, having a AI spotter is not the greatest thing at a road course.
No, it's not, because you only get the robotic voice that gives you what's going on after the fact. And when you look at the Pro League, when you look at the top tier leagues, they all have full crews who help them work on the setup, help them figure out what they need to do. They have spotters in the race telling them what they need to hear and how they want to hear it. So anytime you can get that human voice, even in sim racing, it is critical to success. And if you can have that voice in your back of your head, calming you, helping you figure out where everything is on the track, it's a critical advantage, it's a huge advantage to winning races.
We're on board with Eric O'Neill. Before then, we were looking at Josh Jones in that 3 car. He's got a lot of damage to that car. I think he's just going to wait it out to the next caution. But right now, Eric O'Neill showing in 4th, and looking behind him is Scott Barkman, one of those drivers that has been improving as the season goes on. And here, I think it's a matter of, you got a lot of racing left. Let's figure out how can we be fast? How can we be efficient here at the track? And I think that's exactly what the drivers are doing, especially Eric O'Neill and Scott Barkman.
And the wonderful thing about OCRP, not just the racing league, but also, the community in general, everyone wants to help each other out. Everyone wants to give each other advice and pointers and tips on how to play better characters, how to be a better racer, how to be a better gamer, and there's just a lot of that camaraderie going on. Sure, each of these guys want to win. Don't let me tell you otherwise. But they're not going to cut someone off. They're not going to get to wreck somebody just to get that win. In fact, right now, I know a lot of these guys are probably talking to each other, saying, what is going on with these tires, and how do I help negotiate it? What is my next step?
Another thing that we don't talk about too much is sometimes you need to adjust your brake bias. And wow, Hyneman got into the grass a little bit off there, maybe a little bit of a mistake, but he's able to gather it up and get going again. But that's going to shave off a little bit of time back towards Graham, and he will eat that up. Yeah, talking about, changing your brake bias. You can adjust it as the tires start to fall off. You make those adjustments in car to adjust the brake bias, meaning that, when I get in the brakes, am I going to be loose? Am I going to be tight? And every little tool does help.
Absolutely. Every single one you can do, everything you can do to get that advantage will just help you that much more to feel confident in the car. And that's 90% of it, Jeff. Feeling confident in the car, feeling like you're able to do racing, feel like you're able to whip this car the way it needs to go and how it needs to go around the track. It's all about that. It's all about being able to build that. Thomas Hyneman is absolutely feeling it right now. Even though he lost 0.2 of a second on his lead to Wes Graham, he is now closing in on Jason Kent. I believe that's Jason Kent. Yeah.
Whoa.
Jason Kent currently running in 11th.
Watching the 88 there of Wes Graham, he got extremely loose. We're going to watch that back on the replay, but man, he got really loose, almost lost control of the car, exiting the carousel. Not really sure what happened there, but it's a matter of, I think the tires are starting to fall off, and it's going to come down to, just how much you are willing to give at this point.
Or how comfortable you are in the car. For some guys, that driving loose is better than driving tight. And if these cars operate just a little loose on them, they're happy to compensate. They're happy to make that work. Jason Kent gets out of the leader's way, goes down pit road. I think he is looking for tires. He is looking for anything to keep him on the track, while Hyneman is leaving Wes Graham in the dust. 3 seconds now between them. Their closest competitor, Jeff Coburn, they've got 20 seconds on him.
Yeah, we were watching from the chopper cam, watching Wes Graham try to gather up his car and get back at it again. And that is the difference right there. About 2.5 seconds of making a mistake. That's where he is from the bumper of the 8 car right now. And I mean, if you look behind them, you're 20 seconds back to Coburn, which is absolutely insane. So it looks like the 8 car of Hyneman and the 88 of Graham are really starting to dominate.
Oh, absolutely. They are dominating. They are taking no prisoners as they come around and really start to take out this race. Hyneman, Coburn, who's a great driver in of his own right, he is going to need a lot of help if he wants to catch up to Hyneman and Graham. I'm not just talking about the pit stops. I'm not talking about strategy. He's going to need at least a caution flag to get caught up with them. And even then, after that, he's going to need some pit strategy to help him figure out when he needs to stop and where he wants to stop, as it looks like Coburn now gets loose. Speak of the devil, he gets loose. He gets sideways on the straightaway. And is that going to bring out a caution flag? Not yet. He backs up. He's back racing.
He's back. Razor, we're going to watch and see what happened there. But I was watching the 88 of Graham getting around the track, and man, I know he's not having a lot of fun, but it's a lot of fun to watch these guys wheeling these cars around here. We're going to back this up and see exactly what happened with Jeff Coburn. Looks like he just got loose, exiting the corner, locked it up, and just barely kisses that inside wall there on the front stretch. So minimal damage to the 91. I'm sure that's not going to help him, as that's his, third incident so far.
Bad news is no caution flag comes out. Good news is that for Jeff Coburn, the caution flag doesn't come out, because if the caution flag did come out on his account, he'd end up at the tail end of the longest line. So that's a good thing for him. Scott Barkman it's a good thing for Scott Barkman as well, as he picks up some position. He started all the way back at the very tail end of this field in position 12. He's worked his way through the field without taking qualifying time, and now he's in position number 3. He's waiting to see what Hyneman and Graham do when they go to pit road, because that's where he's going to try to make up a lot of time. Here's the question I have for you, though, Jeff. If you're a Scott Barkman, if you're Jeff Coburn or Aviator Alexander Reno, what do? What is your strategy at this juncture? Do you try to pit early, try to cut off with the leaders and try to make up the time when they come down to pit road and start warming up their tires again? Or do you wait to see what the leaders do? Do you wait to see their strategy and try to pit with them in order to try to get some sort of competitive edge?
Well, it really does come down to the short pit and how that works out for you. I think that if you're looking at 29 seconds behind the leader right now, short pitting is your only option. If you have any strategy, that is going to be the one. Wow, Scott Barkman really went hard into the bus stop and got in the grass, but he's able to keep it straight.
So no changes up front. Thomas Hyneman still position number 1. Wes Graham position number 2. Scott Barkman from the bottom to the top has worked his way to position number 3. Jeff Coburn, even after the incident, stays position number 4. Tony Wilson, the Krusty Krab Machine, stays position number 5. Aviator Alexander Reno stays position number 6. Robert Kellert, he's holding on to his ego at 7th, and Josh Jones, the Yeet Machine, is now up to position number 8. At least one lap down is John Horst, Eric O'Neill, Jason Kent, and Jonathan Bunch. If we stay green flag at this from here on out,
I'm watching Josh Jones.
The race.
Yeah, I'm watching Josh Jones. He just brought it to the pit road. Had to be towed to pit road, actually. He had an incident getting in turn number 1, but he's able to get the car going, and then he gets up into the S's and he loses it again. Hard lick to the wall there, and he finds himself back on pit road. So a really tough break for the 3 car.
Jonathan Bunch had a very similar incident going into the bus stop as well. On the tail of Robert Keller, hits the brakes too hard, locks him up, and then just gets sideways, has to go into the infield to get around and get back moving again. He'll be lapped by the leaders, but no serious damage on the car. He can continue without a pit stop.
And we're talking about pit stops here. We're getting close to halfway of the race, and nobody's been down pit road yet up front. Anybody that's been down pit road has been involved in an accident, and they were getting their fast repairs taken care of. Now, it is currently 35 seconds back to Jeff Coburn right now, so Hyneman's looking to lap the field.
Hyneman has almost lapped the entire field. Right now, the only person he hasn't passed is Robert Keller, who's immediately in front of him and directly in his sights. He's going to go around low on the carousel, and Robert Keller does not want nothing to do with it. He'll go outside, respect the leaders, and keep them going. So right now, we only have 6 drivers on the lead lap. The last person on the lead lap right now is Scott Barkman in the 19 machine, and he might be your next victim of the laps right now.
Yeah, we're watching here. The 19 of Barkman is trying to get his way around Alex Green. He's racing for position for 5th right there, but behind him is not a whole lot before you get to the leader, which is Thomas Hyneman right now. Tom is showing himself right now, getting basically making a right turn now up through the S's.
So Thomas Hyneman has a long way to go, and here's the thing: he'll be halfway in 2 laps. This race will be showing the cross flags in two laps here, and Hyneman has not tipped his hand on when he's going to come down pit road yet. He has not suggested when he's going to make that move as he navigates the bus stop efficiently without any problems there. He's not said, when he's going to come down, what he's going to do, or how he's going to do it. I think he's trying to make Wes Graham make the first move. I think he really wants Wes the Mess to get down on pit road before him, so that can give him almost a lap over what could be his biggest competition on the track right now.
I think what's really, really amazing is that Wes Graham made that mistake, which he almost made another one there. Made the mistake, lost a lot of time on Hyneman, but right now, he's just been kind of just gritting his teeth and running the track, and he's starting to make gains on Hyneman, but at this point, I think it comes down to making that pit stop you're going to need to get to the end of the race, and I think Hyneman knows that.
Meanwhile, Jeff Coburn, who goes around again, he was having a great run. He had found his way back into third place over Tony Wilson, but he's almost gave the position away. Josh Jones gets around him. Tony Wilson now coming around the carousel. Can Tony Wilson get around Coburn and get back position number 3 off that big mistake he just made?
We're watching 91 of Coburn getting to the bus stop there on this replay and just giving it too much gas, getting down on the carousel. Not a whole lot of room to make a mistake, but he's able to hold on to it, and he does not hit anything, so he's fine.
He's fine, but he does lose a lot of time to Tony Wilson, who has cut a huge deficit into that lead. So score him for third for the time being, but we're definitely going to keep an eye on him as they continue to come around. Hyneman, still your leader, has not given up the lead all race long. We are now halfway through when he crosses the start-finish line, and no sign of when he's going to come down pit road.
He has not said a word, but yeah, looking back on the field, we got Hyneman, Graham, Coburn, Wilson. Fifth there right now is Reno. We'll talk about him in a minute. But Barkman, Keller, Boris Jones, and Eric O'Neill. And then behind them, you've got Jason Kent, Jonathan Bunch. And that rounds out everybody. But let's talk about a driver. And that is indeed
who is
the 22 of Alex Reno. Somebody that started off towards the back, has been very patient, making his way, around cars after that earlier incident on, was a lap 2. And now he finds himself all the way up in 5th.
Alexander Reno, he's definitely one of the more underrated drivers in this league. He runs twice a week, so he's dedicated to iRacing, dedicated to being a better driver, and I really believe that he could be a beneficiary of these green flag pit stops when they happen. I believe that, he's only in 5th right now. If he decides to go off pace or try to jump the other drivers when they come down pit road, he really could be a contender for the win. Regardless of the fact that he's a minute behind and he's threatening to get lapped, all he's got to do is make one smart move in the pit stop game, and he could be challenging for the win. Although Thomas Hyneman and Wes Graham, they have been the 2 cars to beat right now, and I think Hyneman's on a mission to lap everybody before he comes down pit road.
Absolutely. We're watching Hyneman. He's absolutely on a mission to try and lap the entire field. A lot of speed left in that 8 car. We're going to ride aboard him right now, and I'm going to be quiet, let you listen to him get around the track as he's almost starting to lap some more guys. And we talked about that earlier about Barkman being lapped, and it looks like that might be the case. So I'm going to shut up here, let you listen to how Hyneman's getting around the track right now on older tires.
And as you listen to how he gets through the gears there, how he manages that last tactical set of that track, he just has an understanding with that car right now. He just has a feeling with how that car works and how it's working for him. And I think that's really going to boost him tonight, give him that advantage he needs that could ultimately win him the race. Every single lap he's run so far, he is getting further and further away from Wes the Mess. That time around, 5.143 seconds. That's
He's checking out.
Long. Yeah, he's checking out. He's putting a time zone between him and Wes Graham.
He is. And look at all the tape on the front of that car. Is that different than what anybody else is running? I don't believe so. I think it's part of the paint job there. But
I believe it's paint, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, it looks like a super speedway car almost with all that tape on the front of it. But, we're watching on board his camera there. And I've got to say, on older stuff, he's really, really utilizing that throttle really, really well. And I think that's where a lot of guys are in trouble.
Well, throttle control, obviously, is a huge part of this race. Throttle control and gearbox control, for that matter, is how you navigate this race. This track is very unique from the ovals because it is one of the few tracks that has elevation changes, that has these tight turns with zero bank on them. So you really have to not only navigate the car, but you also have to navigate the machinery underneath it. You have to be able to make those turns. You have to be able to figure out what gear is best. You have to figure out where to hold on the throttle and where to brake it so you don't spin out. This is much more technical than a lot of people think, as you see Hyneman go through those S's very cleanly. It's quite the race. It's quite the ability to master a road course, and Hyneman is doing it incredibly well as he passes Jonathan Bunch one more time in the bus stop.
Jonathan Bunch got hard into the brakes there, almost went through, and that was Scott Barkman we just saw there. He indeed just blew the bus stop. He has to come to a complete stop before he continues on. But man, I just saw Bunch almost miss the bus stop. I think he was worried about what Hyneman was going to do. And then the 19 of Barkman just completely missed it.
You know, at that juncture, if I have the option to completely miss it or botch it, I'm just going to completely miss it and take the time penalty, because that way, at least my car is clean. At least I know I don't have to worry about damage. I don't have to worry about fighting the car on what's already been an incredibly difficult track to fight. Lap 25. We're well past halfway at this point. Hyneman has not made the move to come down pit road yet. And I don't believe Wes Graham has either, as now he's got almost a track between him and Wes the Mess.
Yeah, Wes Graham right now showing in second. Behind him is Coburn, but right behind him is John Borst on the track. And it's just, it's a huge gap between all these drivers right now. And I think a lot of guys are just kind of hoping and praying for a yellow flag so they can bunch him back up. But Hyneman right now is just absolutely dominating the field, and he gets himself around the 22 of Reno.
So Reno will be the first car one lap down. He will have the opportunity to get the lucky dog if we go back there, which means there's only 4 drivers left on the lead lap. Thomas Hyneman, Wes Graham, obviously, Jeff Coburn, who was involved in that first incident to bring out the only caution flag tonight. He's worked his way back up to position number 3, and Tony Wilson, the Krusty Krab driver, in position number 4, as Wilson now might be looking to come down pit road. He slows down. He lets Hyneman around him. Tony Wilson will be the first of those lead lap drivers to come down pit road, and it looks like Alexander Reno is going to join him as well.
Yep, and this is a different style of pit stops for these drivers. You're seeing Tony Wilson right now make his way to his stall. You are making a pit stop on the right-hand side rather than the left-hand side, and I can tell you this, it seems like it wouldn't be a big deal, but it actually is. It's a lot different.
Well, you have to completely, in a real racetrack, you have to basically reconfigure everything and redo everything you're taught, including the gas man, who has to go all the way around the car to refuel that machine. So the 76, though, no problems down on his pit stall. 4 tires down and away. Alexander Reno taking the same. 4 tires, full tank of fuel. His Mustang is down and away. They are back racing, and no one else throwing out the hand to go down pit road just yet.
We were watching the 22 of Reno get into his stall. He did miss it by a little bit, had to back up, and that's going to cost him some time, but not a whole lot really between him and Wilson, as Borst is trying to make his way up to the rear bumper of the 22 and get by him for position.
Alexander Reno, Tony Wilson, Robert Keller, all driving for position right there. And John Borst, he would not necessarily pick up position, or maybe he would. It looks like they are running position 5 and 7. Not sure where Robert Keller went, or my scoring loop's bad. I don't know. In any event, Robert Keller looks like he will move up some positions as a result of that pit stop. Wes Graham moves up as well. And everyone else, including Thomas Hyneman, still not coming down pit road in lap 27. Is he just a madman, or has he got something to prove out there?
I think that he has shown that he can get around this track on older tires, and that is really the difference between him and a lot of these other drivers, is that they're really struggling on older stuff, and they're going to have to come down pit road. And the longer Hyneman stays out and is making decent lap times, well, that's good for him. That's going to keep him out ahead. And if we're staying green the entire time, he will be able to come down, make pit road, and he's going to have plenty of time to make any mistake or anything like that before he gets back out there and starts to dominate again.
Starts dominating, starts moving, starts keeping that car moving forward. But I don't see anyone dominating past Hyneman. He has run all night very clean in that nationwide number 8 machine. And again, no sign of going down pit road. He's just happy to move that car out there, that maybe he's got used the tire model. Maybe he's happy with that tire model as he starts closing in on Jeff Coburn, who's in position number 3. If he laps him, that will only leave one more car on the track he has not lapped yet, and you can guess who that is.
That's going to be Wes Graham, and he's trying to prove that, hey, I know Watkins Glen. I'm a good road racer, and I'm going to prove it here tonight. That's what he's trying to do right now. But, I mean, if you look at the stats, it's just absolutely astounding. He's got an iRating of 1489. He's a Class C driver with a 2.42 safety rating. Kind of a middle of a road driver, but man, he's really showing some of these guys how you get around this track, starting first and is currently first. We've had no challenge for the lead tonight.
Oh, Hyneman is putting on a clinic right now. You know, throw away everything you know about him. Throw away his position, throw away his safety rating on iRacing, throw away all of that. He's putting on an incredible clinic on how to make the road course work for you. And what's even more impressive is, again, he's doing it on that brand new tire model. He's doing it on a model that he is not used to, that he is not set up for. This is really a show that he's putting on, and it's been very exciting watching him do it as he continues to close in on Jeff Coburn. I think it's all Coburn can do to stay up front and try to stay on the podium tonight.
I think what Hyneman's going to do is he's going to wait till the very last moment, the moment he's running out of gas to come down to pit road. He is very proud of the lead he has on everybody right now, and it shows. We are completing the 28th lap right now. It'll be 29 next time by. We'll see if he comes down pit road then. 12 laps remain. That is it. We've only seen one caution for 3 laps tonight, so it's been pretty much a green flag run, which a lot of drivers didn't think was going to be the case.
Jeff Coburn finally loses it going into the bus stop, not able to hold on to it, drives in too aggressive, and he is going to go sliding into the gravel. He will make his way out, but that ruins that great run he had. He will finally go 1 lap down, still in third, but officially 1 lap down now to Thomas Hyneman. 2 cars remain on the lead lap.
It looks like the 19 of Barkman had issues too, but we're watching the 91 right there. Just got into the bus stop way too fast, lost control, and when you get caught into that sand, there's nothing you can do. You have no grip. He doesn't have any damage to the car or anything there, but man, you lose a ton of time when that does happen.
So Thomas Hyneman now is literally controlling this entire race. His only challenge, the only person that can possibly stop him from winning, is the driver of the 88 West, the Menace, Wes Graham, but I do not think he's going to make it 4 for 5 tonight. Thomas Hyneman is just way too dominant out there. He's as has been said in my chat, Thomas Hyneman is proving that he Hyner can.
We're watching right there.
Trademark that, Thomas Hyneman. You're welcome. It's my gift to you.
There you have it. Well, the 88 of Graham making his way around Kent there. He is now getting towards the S's, and if we look at the leader, he's all the way past that. He's exiting the carousel, and he's almost going to be making his left-hand turn to get back towards the start-finish line. You know, you got 10 laps to go. What do you think here, Joe? Is he going to come down pit road now?
I don't think he needs to. I think he is just happy as can be on those tires, on his fuel run. I do not think he's going to come down unless it is a dire emergency or unless Wes Graham comes down as well. I think Hyneman has everything he needs to run the next 10 laps without any interruption. But, you know, I've been wrong before. We'll see.
We have been, but you're not wrong that time. He did not come down pit road. It's a matter of, you know, you get an iRacer behind the wheel on a new tire model like this, you know, so many laps on your tires, it feels absolutely terrible. Feels like you're driving on ice essentially, and you're complaining left and right. You know, you're going to be complaining to your spotter, you're going to be complaining to whoever will listen to you. But you look at a driver like Hyneman out here in the 8 car, and it doesn't look like he has any issues. He's not bringing down pit road. He is perfectly content in that car.
He's one of the few drivers out here who's running a completely clean race from start to finish. I think whatever he's got in that car, even though everyone's using the same exact setup, save for brake bias and steering bias, as Alexander Reno pulls back around
a lot of
in
damage.
That aviation-related Mustang with quite a bit of damage on it. So thinking about Hyneman, you know, considering he's running the same setup as everybody else, he's really found some zen out there. He's just found some inner peace in that car, and he is approaching nirvana as winning all 40 laps and potentially taking home this race. The only one he has to beat now is himself.
Man, what a hard lick that was for the 22 on that inside wall. Just another victim of the carousel, just getting into it a little too deep, and he got into the gas a little too early there. That's all it takes, and he tore the whole front end off their car.
Tore the whole front end off, and he will need to come back down to pit road to get a quick repair. With 32 laps to go, though, I don't know it's going to make a whole lot of difference. Good news for him, though, is he is just on the outside of a top 5 finish.
The 8 car of Hyneman got a little loose there in the center of the bus stop and got in the grass. Now he's going to have grass all over those tires. He's going to have to clean them off. It's going to take a minute for that grass to fall off. On older tires, that's not what you want. The last thing he would want right now is to lose control of that car.
No, he does not. He's going to be a lot more cautious moving in to these next 3 turns because of that fact. He just has grass all over him. That could cause him to spin out. That could cause him to really do some crazy things out there. He's going to be super cautious. The good news is, with 35 seconds over West Graham, he can afford to be. All he has to do is survive the next 7 laps. And if he does that, he's going to be crowned your winner with 40 of 40.
And what a driver. I mean, he drove it in the grass. He got that all over there. And you would think that that's the moment you make the decision. Hey, I'm going to come down pit road, get this thing taken care of. He did not. He is staying out on the track. And we're not just saying that to say it. You know, you get in the grass, you get in the dirt. iRacing's updates over the years have changed the way racing has been to where if you do get grass and dirt on the tires, it does actually physically stay on them. In a simulation sense, it does as well. So it does affect the way that the car drives, but it doesn't seem that is any issue for the 8 car.
You know, and you bring up a very good point. Technology has rapidly changed. It looks like Hyneman smokes are coming out of the carousel. Technology has absolutely changed the way we race. Jeff, I know you're very familiar with NASCAR Racing 2003 season. That was the most realistic simulation for a very long time until we saw iRacing come out and change everything, change how we race, change how the tracks are scanned, change the models and all the above in every aspect of it. iRacing has really revolutionized the entire system, the entire field of how we do things, and these drivers are really being able to put in a clinic on their ability and their skill and knowledge based on that. In every part of the simulation that changes, it takes racing to the next level. It takes sim racing to the next generation. We have gone beyond people sitting behind their computers for fun, as a hobby. These are now professional drivers, professional gamers. The future of this esport is just beginning, and guys like Thomas Hyneman are on the cutting edge of it as he continues to run clean lap 34.
Absolutely, and you watch a guy like Hyneman and you go, okay, he's driving a virtual car in a virtual world. I'll tell you what, the amount of skill that it takes to get around a track like Watkins Glen in iRacing is absolutely insane. Until you try it yourself, it's easier to say that looks easy than to actually go out there and do it. And we're talking about esports and the rise of that. Just absolutely incredible to watch some of these guys and how they get around these tracks.
Well, you know, and you look at the professional series, you look at the pro series, you look at some of the other screens that go on, you know, out here. It really is amazing as Hyneman finally comes down pit road. Whoever had lap 34 in the pool, you just won big time as Hyneman now comes out of the attention of his crew. This may just be a gas and go, Jeff.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a gas and go. It looks like he's perfectly fine with the car. I think he can last a few more laps. I don't think there's any reason for him to take tires here, but we're going to see what exactly happens here as he makes his way to his stall. And looks like he's going to have no problems getting to his stall. And this is where it counts. What's he going to do here? I think he's just taking gas.
Probably going to be yes, it will be only a gas and go stop for Hyneman. He does not want to jeopardize his lead over Wes Graham. Meanwhile, what is the 88 doing? He is staying out on the track. He wants to try to capitalize on this change out here, try to see if he can keep up with Thomas Hyneman. Last time around, he was a 24-second lead for Thomas Hyneman, but that could change with Wes the Mess now on the back bumper again. Eric O'Neill trying to get around him, trying to see if he can challenge one last time for the lead with 6 to go.
He was trying to get around Eric O'Neill, and I know Eric did not want to hold him up, but man, I thought that he was going to give him the chrome horn there for a second. He could say, hey, get out of my way. I got to get up there and catch Hyneman. It's my only chance I have. And it comes down to how well Wes Graham has saved fuel, because this is a race that you can win on fuel mileage. And it's coming down to this. You can see right there in the picture behind Hyneman, that is Wes Graham. He is exiting the carousel now. He's on the stretch.
Wes Graham on the stretch. Hyneman gets around the carousel going into turn number 9, the final dog leg at Watkins Glen, and he will continue to run clean. No complaints whatsoever. Here's what I'm curious about, though. What does that change look like? What does the time look like between Hyneman and Wes Graham? Wes Graham now just crossed the start-finish line, and that 24-second lead has been cut down to 6 seconds. 6 seconds now between Graham and Hyneman. That is the shortest span they've had since the restart, and now I've got a feeling that this could, if Hyneman makes a mistake, if Hyneman makes one wrong move in the next 5 laps, that could be the opening Wes Graham needs to make it 4 out of 5.
And the 22 of Alex Reno got into the inside wall before he got to the S's there, and a lot of damage to the front of that car. Just a terrible run there for the 22 tonight. He was doing so well, and now he's just finding himself in an incident after an incident, and that just kind of becomes what it is after you're on older stuff. And we're watching the difference between the field and the skill level, but man, the 8 car is just really starting to put it on.
He's starting to put it on. He's put on a clinic all night long, Jeff. If you want to watch how to run if you're a new driver, maybe you're in John Horst's Pro League, Pretend Racing Online League, and you want to figure out and see how do I run a track of this caliber very well, you go back to the beginning of the stream and you watch Thomas Hyneman navigate this track from start to finish. He has put on a clinic here, and I guarantee you some of those rookie drivers are going to be watching this tape as an example of how to cleanly run Watkins Glen.
I do want to clarify something that a lot of people are not familiar with on the road courses, and that is you have an option to run full course yellows or local, and road racing, local cautions are very, very common. So that's the reason why you're seeing local cautions tonight, the reason why you're seeing cars stop in certain spots. That would show up for the driver saying, hey, it's yellow through here, utilize caution, somebody's had an issue. But they do not have to stop the entire field and restart them.
They do not have to restart the entire field. The only time they'll have a caution flag come out is a major incident happens. Now, that being said, I like the change. I think it's a great move on the administrator's part. That being said, though, I know a lot of guys are like, there's no caution flag, I got no chance to catch up. That, unfortunately, is the downside of road course racing. If you get that big run and you're able to run as clean as Hyneman has all night long, it is going to be a challenge for you. But we knew it was going to be. We knew for the first time running this car, it was going to be a challenge for these guys, and they have handled it very well. 3 laps to go, and Hyneman, no sign of giving away the lead.
Not at all, and now we're going to turn on the ticker so you can see the rest of the field. Really want to just maintain the top 3 right now for you, because we're talking about how it comes down to those local cautions, and the 8 car could be just as, in a bad shape as any other driver on the track, but this really comes down to skill and how well you can get around Watkins Glen without wrecking your car.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right there. And car management and car quality is a huge part of road course racing. If you're able to manage the course, manage the car, and be able to run it clean, that's like 90% of your victories to win. That is 90% of what you need to do to make it work and get around this track and ultimately win at this track. And again, Hyneman and Graham have put on a show on how to do it very well. I just think Wes Graham ran out of luck early, and he's never able to recover from Hyneman's huge lead out there. So Wes Graham in second. He has everything to gain if Hyneman spins out. The popsicle sticks will fly this time by 2 to go here at the Glen.
Only 2 laps remaining. It comes down to these drivers between Hyneman and Graham, and it's going to take a lot here. You can see Wes Graham is really reeled in the 8 car, but it's going to take a huge mistake on the 8's part to really give that to Wes Graham, and I just don't see that happening anytime soon. This is Hyneman's race to lose, as they say. As you see, Bunch all the way up in the wall there, and he's slow, but they have, like we were talking about earlier, local cautions.
Local caution, so nothing to worry about there. Hyneman still, he did give up a little bit of time to Wes Graham, 0.4 of a second that time by, and now Graham is starting to really pick it up the pace, trying to see if he can make a last lap pass for the win. They both just cleared the bus stop. They're now both in the carousel, and Hyneman could have a challenge on his tail if he can outrun Wes Graham in the last lap.
Wes Graham is slowly reeling him in. I'm not sure if he has enough to finish off Hyneman here. It's going to take a huge mistake by the 8 car for the 88 to get there. But man, what an incredible run by the 88.
So Thomas Hyneman now comes to the start-finish line for the last time. White flag in the air. The next flag finishes this race. Hyneman with a good lead over Wes Graham, but it's Wes Graham is looking for him to make a mistake if he wants to try to win this race.
Wes Graham trying to get to the 8 car. It's just going to be nearly impossible. He has done an impressive job to reel him into 4 seconds, but right now it is down to the 8 car. He has got a few more corners to nail, and it's going to be his.
Hyneman now coming to the bus stop. He's got to navigate it one more time. Can he do it cleanly? Clips the inside, good to go. Clips the rumble strips again. Hits the rumble strips on the outside into the carousel this time by. He's still got a healthy lead on Wes Graham. Wes Graham just entering the carousel as Hyneman exits.
And what an impressive drive by Hyneman tonight. He's got to be very proud of himself. He's lapped the entire field except for Wes Graham. That is the only car he did not lap. What an incredible drive, and I got to say, he definitely deserves it.
One more turn, the final right turn dogleg for Thomas Hyneman. No one behind him. Checkered flag in the air. Thomas Hyneman, your winner at the Glen. Wes Graham second, Jeff Coburn third, Tony Wilson fourth, and John R. Borst finishing in the top 5.
What an incredible run that was by Hyneman. He's got to be very, very proud of himself for that performance, and we've got to give it to Wes Graham as well for giving him that run there at the end. That, it wasn't an easy drive for Hyneman. He knew that if he made a mistake, it was definitely going to be on his shoulders for the win.
We also have to give a lot of credit to Wes Graham, too. After that pit stop, after Hyneman's gas and go, Wes Graham hit the loud pedal hard, and he dug as hard as he could to try to make it his 4th win in 5 races. He has nothing to be ashamed about here. He left it all on the track, and he did an excellent job doing it. So a shout to Wes Graham, shout to John Borst, who had problems earlier and was able to resuscitate his night to a 5th place finish, and shout out to Jeff Coburn as well, the driver of the 91 Beppis Chevrolet. He really, after he got involved in that first incident, and he really dug hard to get through and get back up to the podium. So Jeff Coburn, I think, really is the MVP of the night. Don't take it away from Hyneman, but Jeff Coburn, man, he really found a way to get things done here tonight at the Glen.
Oh, he definitely did. And the 8 car is now on the front stretch. He will be giving us a little bit of a celebration, perhaps. I hear him jumping through the gears right there. Let's see if we can get a good camera view for him. There he goes. Oh, he puts it in the wall.
There he smokes him. There he goes. Hyneman, your winner, putting on a little bit of a show. Maybe
in the wall again.
The wall to smoke him. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he's just not used to celebrating here at the Glen and lost control of the car there and put it into the wall. I've actually done that before, Joe, after winning a race in the NIS series, and it's easy to make a fool of yourself. But I'll tell you what, you're having a good time. You had a great run. You don't care about that.
not at this point tear up the car because you're done with it. Put it away till next year. You can have fun and just destroy that machine. As Eric O'Neill, Yeti out there, looks like he's trying to give his buddy a congratulations on the win. Thomas Hyneman, driver of the number 8 Nationwide machine, your winner here at the Glen. We'll hear from him and others when we get to the post-race show and the drivers meeting.
Actually, not going to be doing a post-race show or drivers meeting tonight. Not on my end.
Okay, moving on.
We're going to be doing a jump-off, and I'm actually going to be rolling right into an OCRP live stream. He's...
Well, maybe I'll join you.
Fully in reverse. Alrighty.
Well, maybe I'll see you on the server then.
Okay, that sounds good. So,
what are you doing tonight?
Civilian.
Oh, good. Oh, we can have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
We can get in some trouble.
I will leave you guys to it. Great run tonight by Hyneman. He is your winner. Still tearing up that car on the front stretch there, but that is well-deserved. What a great drive by that driver. Thank you, guys. Thank you to Mr. Cortez for the broadcast. We'll see you all next week. Where are we at next week, Joe?
We are, right as I close that window, I got to open up the window again. Next week we are at... You got me set up for OCRP. You got me set up for GTA, and now I'm all discombobulated. Hang on a second. Next week we go to the big oval, the granddaddy of them all, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, for several laps around there. Week 11 coming up next week. Only two more races left in the season. The Big Banks of Talladega Speedway after that, and we finish the season at Dover Downs. Dover International Speedway will cut off season 3 of OCRP iRacing.
Absolutely. There you go. Going to Indy after this. So, yep, gonna get things ready to go here. I'm gonna take a little break myself. Go to the bathroom, get myself something to drink and all that, and then I will be back here live for some OCRP action. But that is going to do it for us here at Watkins Glen. We'll see you next week.